The world is fighting to get our attention. From scrolling through Instagram, watching videos on YouTube, or watching series on Netflix, our attention is divided into a bunch of distractions, causing it to be more and more difficult to just sit down and learn something. As subject matter experts or instructional designers, our goal is to create learning and transfer the knowledge to students. However, to create learning, you have to be able to gain the learner's attention. But why do we want learners to pay attention? Consider that we receive countless information input all at once from our senses. Your eyes, nose, mouth, ears, hands gather the information in our environment, but only a few we are aware of. Only the sense that we pay attention to are in our conscious mind. For example, while you are watching this video, you might focus on what is on the screen, not really think about the feeling on the chair you are sitting on. That is because our brain is selective about what to bring into our consciousness, and we are generally cannot pay more attention to too many things at once because we have limited short-term memory. Short-term memory is how your brain stores and processes temporary information. When we pay attention, we bring data from our senses into short-term memory. However, it cannot hold too many pieces of information at once. If your students pay attention, your material will at least be processed in the short-term memory and can turn into learning later on. But nothing you say will go through their head if they don't pay attention. So attention is the first gateway to create learning. The question now is, how can we capture learner attention amidst all the distractions? We can utilize some strategies from learning design to make our lesson interesting. First, you need to know their motivation to learn. For example, why do some people want to learn about data science? Some might be a business owner who wants to use their data to increase sales, or a junior employee that is tasked by their manager to analyze the company data. Perhaps the learners want to change their career to be a data analyst. Whether you are teaching data science, leadership, finance, or any other subjects, you should always be asking, why do people want to learn about this? Because then it is easier to hook them into paying attention once you appeal to their motivation. Most of the time, adults are motivated to pay attention to things that we are obligated to do, things that we enjoy, or things that matter to us. In addition, we tend to be more attentive to the topic that has urgency. For instance, if you have an exam about fire hazard tomorrow, you are more likely to pay attention to the fire safety training today. We often apply this technique in introduction video, for example.
In 1997, the web was estimated to be 1.8 terabytes. Fast forward to 2010, we are in the zettabyte era. By 2018, the data created, captured, and replicated across the world was more than 30 zettabytes. To put this into perspective, 1 zettabyte is equal to 1 billion terabytes, and is forecasted to reach 175 zettabytes by 2025. Data-driven organizations are 23 times more likely to acquire customers. 62% of retailers report that the use of information and analytics is creating a competitive advantage for their organization. These are just a few stats showing that nowadays we no longer have the freedom of choosing if data should be part of the business decision making.
This is an example of how to both create motivation and urgency. It stated the benefit of data science with business performance and create urgency by establishing how data science has become an integral part of many business decisions. And if not implemented, your business might fall behind. Part 2. Curiosity. Although some students are self-motivated, instructors also can create new motivation with curiosity. Curiosity is powerful because it is the need to fill in the knowledge gap, to find the answer. Therefore, you have to intentionally create or point out to the student's knowledge gap to grab their attention. Let's take a look at some examples. Have you ever wondered what the rings around the Saturn is made of? If you never have, this text sure will make you interested.
How can we account for what is perhaps the most spectacular planetary feature in our solar system, the rings of Saturn? There's nothing else like them. What are the rings of Saturn made of anyway? How could three internationally acclaimed groups of scientists come to wholly different conclusions on the answer? One at Cambridge University proclaimed they were gas. Another group at MIT was convinced they were made up of dust particles, while the third at Caltech insisted they were comprised of ice crystals. How could this be? After all, each group was looking at the same thing, right? So, what was the answer?
Robert Cialdini brought up this text from an astronomer to demonstrate that curiosity can engage students and make them look forward to hearing more from you. In our context, to spark curiosity, you need to open the knowledge gap. You can propose the question or let the students form their own questions. You can do this by proposing interesting statistics, stories, or puzzles. Then reveal the answer, which is now the reward for them to stick around. This is an example from a video called "The World is Poorly Designed, but Copying Nature Helps" by Vox.
In 1989, Japan's Shinkansen bullet train had a problem. It was fast, really fast, like pushing 170 miles per hour fast. But every time it exited a tunnel, it was loud. The noise was coming from a variety of sources, but whenever a train sped into a tunnel, it pushed waves of atmospheric pressure through the other end. The air exited tunnels with a sonic boom that could be heard 400 meters away. In dense residential areas, that was a huge problem. So an engineering team was brought in to design a quieter, faster, and more efficient train. And they had one secret weapon. Eiji Nakatsu, the general manager of the technical development department, was a birdwatcher.
The main concept of this video is about biomimicry, which is an approach to design that is inspired by nature. However, Vox introduced this concept later on as an answer to the problem they proposed earlier. How does being a bird watcher help with the train design? Part 3. Simple and easy to understand. As mentioned earlier, attention is limited. Our brain takes a lot of energy to understand new concepts. It might be even more difficult to learn something new if the information is in a complex language.
Short-term memory, analogous to a transitory cognitive workspace, orchestrates the temporary retention and manipulation of a constrained quantum of information, enduring a temporally delimited span, typically oscillating between seconds and minutes. Its inherent capacity is circumscribed, rendering it amenable to immediate cognitive exigencies, such as the ephemeral retention of a telephone number or the dynamic resolution of a puzzle.
How do you feel about that? Confused? Frustrated? Tired? This is an exaggeration of what learning new concepts can feel to the students. It takes up our energy to focus on complex words and sentences. And our brain does not like difficult tasks. It might give up on trying to comprehend, and the attention is lost. Now, let's take a look at how Barbara Oakley explained the same concept for the talks at Google.
Working memory is how you keep a brief thought in mind. It used to be thought that you had 7 slots in working memory, and that's why you could hold a phone number of 7 numbers. But now we're kind of realizing it's more like maybe there's 4 slots in working memory. But anyway, so you have 4 slots, and it's in your you can kind of think of it as your working memory, you're holding things in your prefrontal cortex. So I've got it kind of symbolized right there as your 4 slots of working memory. So when you are remembering something or thinking about something with working memory, you can think of it symbolically, at least, as something like an octopus, the octopus of attention that reaches through those slots of working memory and makes connections between different ideas. And that's why you can't hold too many ideas at once in your brain before you get all confused.
Not only does she use octopus as an analogy, but she used simple language that is easy to understand. And when you compare what she said during this talk to what ChatGPT generated about short-term memory, it takes less effort for us to comprehend. Our brain can understand sentences like, I like an octopus right away. Simple sentences don't require much of our working memory, compared to phrases like analogous to a transitory cognitive workspace, which takes a few seconds for our brain to translate to some meaning. So, if not necessary, try to explain your material in a simple way and save your learner energy. Attention is the first gateway to learning, but it is a limited resource. As educators, we have to compete with so many distractions in our student lives, especially now, when both people and companies from all industries will do anything to get our attention. So we shall adapt and design our material that can help engage our students and grab their attention. First, know what our learners' motivation is, who they are, and why they want to learn about the topics in the first place, and how can we make sure we deliver the knowledge that will be valuable for them. Tap into their curiosity and create the knowledge gap with intriguing stories, leaving them wanting to search for the answers. And make it simple and easy to understand so we don't lose our learners' attention with unnecessary difficulty. Thank you for paying attention to the end.